While we are patiently waiting for the next episode to finally release, here are 20 facts and predictions about episode 5 that you might not have heard of yet. According to Gooseworks, episode 5 is going to be the lightest of all the episodes. She even described it as the silly before the storm, which kinda suggests an interesting shift for the series. I'm pretty sure that episode 5's ending and then episode 6 will definitely help reaching the show's real target audience. There have been hopeful rumors about episode 5 coming out January 1st, 2025, but now things got even worse in terms of how quickly episode 5 will come out, cause Glitch is currently focusing on their new show The Gaslight District, with its pilot episode releasing on April 18th. So based on their production schedule, we can realistically expect the amazing digital Circus episode 5 to arrive no earlier than June or July 2025. And this extended timeline actually makes sense considering Gooseworks confirmed that animation hadn't even started in January. When Gooseworks described each episode with one word, for episode 1 she wrote haha, and this suggests a lighter tone, but knowing this show, it might not be as straightforward. Like, is it gonna be actually funny, or maybe that nervous kind of laughter when things are uncomfortable? I'm not sure. Looking at the pattern of previous episodes, even the lighter moments tend to hide deeper meanings, so I'm expecting some uncomfortable truths disguised as comedy. The episode will take place in a stadium, which we saw sketched in the last February trailer. And a stadium most likely means competition, pressure, and probably some kind of sports event. The softball references in episode 4 and the drawing of Buff Ragatha were most likely hinting at the sports-themed adventure. What I'm guessing is that this setting will force characters to compete against each other in ways that reveal their true personalities, which seems like the direction we were heading even in episode 4. Though Gooseworks first said that episode 5 would be the Ragatha episode, she later clarified that Ragatha and Jax kind of share episodes 5 and 6 equally. And this is gonna be huge, because it means these two characters and probably their relationship are way more important to the story than we thought. Maybe there's a history between them that we don't know about yet, or maybe their conflict represents something essential about the circus itself. Either way, the fact that they get 2 full episodes focused on them suggests their dynamic is central to the show's bigger mysteries. When someone asked if Ragatha would be okay after episode 5, Gooseworks didn't really give a straightforward answer, which is kinda scary. Like, why would Ragatha not be okay in what's supposed to be the lightest episode? It makes me think that something bad might happen to her, despite all the comedic elements. And this reminds me of how Gooseworks tends to mix humor with really dark moments, so maybe Ragatha reaches her breaking point in a way that's both funny to watch but concerning for her character, because her stability has already been questioned in episode 4 with the stupid sauce incident. Gooseworks shared that Ragatha will say not anymore in episode 5, and out of context, this definitely feels like a big moment coming for her character. Ragatha always puts others first and hides her true feelings, so this could be when she finally stands up for herself, or maybe even snaps completely. I mean, it's such a short line, but it could say so much. And based on what we've seen in previous episodes, Ragatha tends to repress her negative emotions, which means they are probably building up to something explosive. Maybe this could be the moment where years of putting up with Jax and hiding her real feelings finally come to a head. In a tweet, Gooseworks said, "People getting attached to this evil version of Ragatha is gonna make episode 5 so much funnier." Evil Ragatha? That's a complete 180 from the sweet caring character we know. I'm wondering what could possibly make her act so differently. But I have a feeling that maybe the stupid sauce will affect her again, or maybe the competitive nature of the stadium brings out a side of her we've never seen. But I can imagine Ragatha becoming super competitive and aggressive, which would be hilarious given her usual nurturing personality. When asked if bunny doll shippers would be disappointed by episode 5 and 6, Gooseworks said, "Maybe, but they didn't mind when Jax threw Ragatha in the deep fryer, so I don't really know how they think." And it kind of sounds like Jax and Ragatha will have even more dramatic interactions than that deep fryer scene from episode 4, which suggests their relationship will get even more contentious, which is kinda hard to imagine considering how bad it already is. I wonder if we'll learn more about why these two characters seem to oppose each other so much. Maybe because they seem to be on the two sides of the same coin. Someone asked, what's the most dangerous duo in the amazing digital circus? And Gooseworks said, we'll have to wait and see. And with the focus on Jax and Ragatha in episodes 5 and 6, I think she's probably talking about them. Maybe the stadium forces them to team up despite their differences, creating an unlikely but powerful alliance. Or maybe their conflict itself becomes dangerous for the other circus members who get caught in the crossfire. Another line from episode 5 will be, was that a reference to something? And this sounds like the show might include some meta humor or callbacks, which makes sense since the characters seem to know that they are in a digital world. I'm guessing this might be a moment where they break the fourth wall. Pomni will say, I am just being here, in episode 5, which continues her whole existential crisis thing. After everything she went through in the earlier episodes, she might be taking a more passive approach to her situation. The stupid sauce plotline might continue into episode 5, since it kinda looked like that Ragatha took some sauce back with her to the circus. And if she gets addicted to it, like that mannequin NPC, it could explain any crazy personality changes we might see. Maybe this could be the reason for the evil Ragatha Gooseworks mentioned. When asked what Pomni thinks of Jax, Gooseworks replied, you'll have to wait and see. We saw some interesting moments between them in episode 4, and now with Jax in the spotlight, their relationship might develop in surprising ways. Maybe Pomni will be the one to see past Jax's mean exterior, or it could also be possible that Pomni will be the one that Jax lets in. After all, Pomni has a unique perspective since she's the newest member of the circus and doesn't have the same history with Jax that the others might do. Plus, they both seem to struggle with finding their place in the circus, which could give them some common ground despite their differences. Gooseworks mentioned that Jax has a few lines that he won't cross, suggesting he is not just a simple villain, but has his own moral code. But in a competitive setting like a stadium, these boundaries will probably be tested, especially with Ragatha. We've seen Jax be cruel, but maybe there is a difference between him being mean for fun versus actually trying to hurt someone. Jax was described as a big cocktail of internal issues, and Gooseworks said feeling scared Jax, which explains so much about why he's so mean all the time. But a sports competition where teamwork is needed could force him to face these fears and maybe even show a more vulnerable side. We already got a hint of this in episode 4 when he seemed uncomfortable and exhausted at Spudsy's. The stadium setting gives us so many possibilities for new character interactions, and I'm especially curious if Jax and Ragatha will be forced to work together despite how much they differ. The sports-themed adventure is perfect for creating these tense situations, and maybe Kane will deliberately pair up characters who don't get along, or maybe the themes will change throughout the episode, creating different dynamics. With the silly before the storm comment, episode 5 might be lighter, but will probably end up with a big cliffhanger leading into episode 6. And this is a classic move, make us laugh and then hit us with something shocking at the end. But as for what this could storm be that Gooseworks is warning us about, well, maybe it's related to Kane's true personality or the reality of the digital circus itself. Or maybe it's also possible that something happens to one of the characters, possibly Ragatha, based on the will Ragatha be okay question. But whatever it is, it sounds like episode 5 has set up something major for episode 6. When asked about how the stupid sauce can affect Ragatha's mind, despite Kane saying that he can't control minds, Gooseworks dodged the question. And this is really interesting. The sauce might play a bigger role in episode 5 and could reveal something important about Kane's powers. Maybe Kane can't directly control minds, but now we know that he can create substances that affect them, which is pretty interesting. Gooseworks said we'll eventually see Jax's room, which might happen in episode 5 or 6. Unlike the other characters, Jax has kept his space totally private. We didn't even see his room on the merch bins, which makes me think it might contain big secrets about who he really is. But these were the 20 facts about episode 5 of The Amazing Digital Circus. Did I miss something? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.